So good morning, everyone. This is our third Facebook Friday, and I'm delighted to be joined with Stephen Walsh from Anders Pink. We've had two sessions already. We've been talking about social learning with Ollie Gardner, and we've also been talking about virtual learning with Joe Cook. So today's topic is all about content curation for learning. And if you have trouble with my accent, which a lot of people do, curation, that's C-U-R-A-T-I-O-N, not creation. So a little definition of curation is about kind of finding content that already exists and putting it to good use. That's kind of how I look at content curation. But Stephen is the expert. He's written a book, a free ebook on content curation for learning, why it matters, how to do it right, tools, tips, and examples. And we'll share this after the broadcast as well. And Stephen's going to do a little quick synopsis of it for us today. So Stephen, over to you. Tell us, what is curation for learning, why it's so important these days, and how do we do it well?
Thanks, Fiona. Well, brilliant to be live here. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. So, yeah, content curation. Your definition was great, and if people are struggling with my accent as well, yes, C-U-R-A-T-I-O-N. Curation is the act of finding recent, relevant content from wherever it may be, bringing it into your workflow, and then doing something with it, which can be obviously reading it to consume it, if it's articles or videos or whatever it might be. Trying to add some value to it, so reflecting on it and thinking, is this relevant for me? Is this relevant for my colleagues? What have I learned from this? And then sharing it. So that might mean organizing it into a series, into a list for people, sharing it on social media, sharing it inside your learning platform or your LMS, putting it where it will be useful to other people as well. So kind of a simple three-word summary for that, and this is from a great guy called Harold Jarkey, who writes a lot about curation and personal learning, is seek, sense, share. So seek, go out and find relevant content from the web, from whatever sources you want. Sense, read it, work out loud, reflect on it, make sense of it to yourself. Being reflective, and then make sense of it for your colleagues, and then share, put it in the right place for the right people at the right time so that they can get value from it as well. So that's how I think of content curation. In its simplest way, if you go out to the web and say you're interested in a subject like leadership, for example, how do we learn about leadership? Well, in most organizations, there's some kind of formal learning program about leadership. That might be an e-learning course, it might be a face-to-face course, it might be a webinar, it might be a blended experience with some or all of the above, and then some on-the-job experience as well. And those courses, those formal bits of learning, they're really, really important, of course, for getting us from a certain point of knowledge to another point of knowledge. And there's a lot of that out there. But it's not enough. It's not enough because there's new content published on leadership every single day. There'll be new content tomorrow that wasn't written this morning. If I'm supposed to be continuously learning about this subject, and we talk a lot in this industry about continuous learning, if I'm really trying to stay on top of a topic, I have to keep up with what the new developments are. I need to have my antenna up to be looking at new articles written from Harvard Business Review, McKinsey, or whichever sources I know and trust. I need to be continuously consuming that content. So I sometimes think of it as like, it's like personal training or going to the gym. You can't just go on January 1st and say, well, I'm done for the year. I'll come back again next January. You've got to do a little bit every day to stay fit, stay smart, stay consuming content and continuously learn, because all of our skills, I think, over time, they decline. What you learned yesterday doesn't really matter. It's what you're going to learn today, tomorrow, next week. That's how you stay smart. That's how you stay competitive. That's how you stay one step ahead of everybody else. So that's where I think content curation plays a big part in the learning ecosystem, which is it fuels us. It helps us continuously learn and continuously stay smart. So that's what it's about. That's why I think it matters for us as learning professionals. I think it also plays into habits that people have. We already know from all of the surveys and feedback that we get that people go out to the web anyway. They serve themselves. They Google things. They look for solutions to problems on YouTube. People are doing curation for themselves without even knowing what the word is, because it's just about go to the web, find useful information. And that's great. But if you stick with that example of leadership, you type leadership into Google, you're probably going to get something like 700 million results. And it'll be everything from what Trump did yesterday or didn't do yesterday, through to sports leadership, political leadership, all that stuff. If you just go searching in that way, that's not a very efficient use of your time, and we're all busy. So can you do something that helps you to filter that content? And that's where I think the real skill of curation comes, is knowing where to look, being discerning about the sources that you look to for discovering content, being organized about those. So you're not spending, an hour every day looking at your Twitter feed, looking at LinkedIn, looking at Facebook, looking at 10 different blog posts, because sure, as well as I do, it's very easy to go down a rabbit hole. One minute you're reading a great article on leadership, then you click somewhere else. 5 minutes later, you're watching a cat video. These things happen. So it's about just being focused about how you consume that content. And, I'm not the first to say this, but, it's separating signal from noise on the internet, and being able to control the sources you look at. So, a tip for doing leadership right is set your filters. You can't look at everything. There's 3 million blog posts are published every day. 99.99% of them are not relevant to you, but some of them are. Some of them are going to be relevant to you and to the audiences that you serve, whether you're an L&D professional who's trying to help other audiences stay smart within your organization, or you're integrating this into a platform, or you're trying to market yourself on social networks through using curation. You need to know where the right places are to look to find content that's relevant to you and relevant to your audience. So fixing your filters, getting those right, first of all, is a really important step to take. There are tools available. That's why we built Andrews Pink, is to help you set those filters. So you might say, stick with that leadership example. I know there are, thousands of sites that publish content on leadership, but I trust about 15, 20, 30 of those. Assemble those into a list and say, I will get my content from here. Sure, that means I might miss random stuff from other places, but it also means I won't waste my time looking at stuff that's lower quality or just tangential or not relevant. So set your keywords, set your filters, and then build a daily habit around that. You need to be going in every day. And I say to people, if you're going to start with anything, put 15 minutes a day into it. In 15 minutes, you can certainly read 3 reasonably long articles, or watch a TED talk, or listen to a short podcast. 15 minutes a day is not a massive investment to make in terms of your time. It is building a new habit, but I think the return on that, if you scale that up, you're literally reading hundreds of articles over the course of a year, which is what continuous learning is all about. So fix your filters, build a habit, and then do it together. You can obviously curate content for yourself if you just want to keep yourself up to date, but we all work in teams. So I think helping other people to do this by working together and saying, hey, I found this article. I thought this was good. I think it relates to what we're trying to do here. There are some risks, opportunities in here. Let's discuss. You don't have to write massive essays describing, the 25 points you took from the article. 30 seconds of reflection, of sharing with other people, and then posting that wherever it makes sense for them to discover it, which might be an internal social network, might be within your learning platform, might be on LinkedIn, wherever it makes most sense to connect with your audience. So that's going back to that seek, sense, share, those 3 steps, trying to do those every day. Get your filters right, consume a limited amount of good quality content, reflect on it actively, share it with people in the right place at the right time, repeat. That's what curation for me is all about, and that's how it connects to kind of continuous learning.
And tell us a little bit. So in Logicearth here, we do a lot of what you talked about, because literally keeping up with this industry every day needs that sort of immersive habit forming, as you say. So your tool, Andrews Pink, it has a lovely way of setting up briefings on different topics, adding in keywords. And as you say, if you can pick the 50 best sources of all the 100 millions of articles that you can find on the web, it really, really becomes another really learning stream for you. That's how we would look at it. So tell us a little bit about your tool and what it could do to help people.
Yeah, sure. So Andrews Pink is a content curation tool. It's at andrewspink.com. You can just sign up for free and check it out. It tries to make it easier to build this habit. So as you say, we allow you to create what we call a briefing. So we've kind of nicked that word from a presidential briefing. So that kind of daily intelligence report that you would hope presidents get and all leaders get. But you set your filters. So you can say, I'm interested in tracking content on leadership, but I only want to see articles on leadership if they mention pharmaceutical or if they mention retail, you can tailor it to be specific to your industry or your sector, or you could say, I want to see articles on leadership, but only if it's case studies, best practices, trends, or whatever those additional words are. You can then add your sources. You can say, also show me content on leadership from these 12 people on Twitter who I think are good about leadership, and then filter down their content, because you probably don't want to see their whole Twitter feed, because they're not always talking about leadership. They may talk about other things that might be interesting, but I don't really want to know right now. So you can filter your Twitter sources, and then you can filter by domains as well. So you could say, bring me in articles on leadership from these 25 websites, these RSS feeds, these people on LinkedIn. Put all those together into one place. So you're just building a collection of sources and then filtering it by certain topics. Once you build those into the tool, it will update for you every 4 hours. So the biggest pain around content curation is going back out to all these sources and saying, I need to check my 25 places every morning. Nobody has the time to do that. So what we try to do is just make that easier for you by aggregating that all into one place and giving you a constantly updating stream of new content. We push one email to you every day, which summarizes it for you as well, so you can get it there. You can also put it into different places as well. So if you're using Slack, you can drop it into your Slack channel, so you get an update there. Or as you guys know, you can drop it into a learning platform so that it appears alongside other content that you're making available to people, just constantly updating for you. So it's trying to make that habit easier as well by pushing that content to you, either as an individual or as a team. And then you can save the content in there if you want to build a kind of a knowledge base of the very best articles that you found. You can collaborate with other people, let them know what you think about it as well. You can share it out to social, which I think is really important for all of us, because, we build trust with people on social networks by not just talking about our own stuff all the time, but curating other people's content and showing that you've got an independent and wide view of what's going on in any market. So Anders Pink is all about just helping those 3 steps of seek, sense, share, and helping you to build a daily habit by pushing recent relevant content based on your terms and your filters to you, so you get it the way you want it. So that's what it's all about, and it's free to come in and give it a whirl.
Cool. So I'm just wrapping up there, Stephen. Thank you very much. So if I was to sum up content curation, I think your seek, sense, share model is brilliant. And in terms of using that as a framework to find what you need and then can consume it as a daily habit, I think that's really good. But the signal to noise thing, I think probably in our industry and in the world at the minute in terms of learning is so important. So It's probably worth spending a little bit of time figuring out the topics that you're interested in, the keywords and your good sources, and then tools like Anders Pink to kind of make that efficient for you, and that's how it is. But the content curation isn't just about going and surfing the web and finding things and then sharing them. It's been a bit more structured and ordered, and I think that's the thing that we want to get across. So that's us wrapped up for today. I will share the link to the book that we talked about here. I'll share the link to Anders Pink as well. And if anybody has any questions and they want to add it to the comments, we can come back and answer those. So thanks, Stephen. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next week. We're doing a preview of learning technologies as well. So that should be fun.
Fantastic.
So, over and out. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Fiona. Thanks, everyone. Bye.